Hi, good evening, all of you. Hope I'm audible to all of you. Hi, good evening, all of you. Hope I am audible to all of you and you are able to view the screen. You are able to see me and you are able to see this actual screen presentation copy. Please confirm in the chat box so that we can start our today's training session on focusing on the top 5 citations by the FDA with special focus on year 2020 to 22, and of course we will discuss about the 23 also, year 23 also. So please confirm whether I am audible to all of you. So meantime, once I get it information, meantime I will just start our introduction to save the time. Okay, so we are today discussing about the top 5 citations by FDA. So what I did, I collected some information from the FDA site. I collected some information from the other sites, and based on that, I come to know that there are the 5 citations are there which are prevalent in the most of the companies, and I should consider this topic so that everyone should take care of this topic and take care in their company. So that is the reason I am here with you to discuss about the today's topic about the 5 citations. So what we are going to discuss today, we will discuss about the we will discuss about uh, um, what about the FDA, how many sites FDA has audited and all, and what type of 5 observations. So what related to that 5 observations, there are quality systems. You may be aware about the different systems where FDA is focusing during the inspection. So under each the system, the observation related to what, that we will discuss, and actual what are the wordings in the 483s, that also we are going to discuss with this presentation. So let us start our today's discussion. My name is Jitendra Kumar Shah. I am a CGMP compliance consultant, trainer, and auditor from NADH plus GXP compliance services. And Mr. Ujjwal Ghosh, thank you that I got the information that everything is clear. Thank you, Mr. Ujjwal. So let us start our today's discussion without wasting time. And this is our training agenda. So there will be the couple of slides about the know your trainer. So there will be some slides about my CV. So already I told you my name is Hitendra Kumar Shah. I am a CGMP compliance consultant, trainer, and auditor from NADH plus GXP compliance services. What we are going to discuss, we will discuss in brief about the FDA citations. So how many number of citations are there based on different systems, the different systems like production system, labeling system, data integrity, so many different types of systems are there, packaging systems are there, production systems are there, laboratory systems are there. So under each system, what are the observations that we will discuss, and we will specifically focus on the top 5. Focus on all finished drug GMP 483 deficiencies. So we will focus on the specifically the GMP related 483 deficiencies identified during the finished drug inspections. This is what the meaning of this. Focus on all finished drug GMP 483 deficiencies means we will discuss about the GMP related deficiencies. There are a lot of deficiencies raised by the FDA. Deficiency related to the samples means what FDA does. FDA take, whenever I am using the word, please understand FDA means US FDA. Okay, whenever I am using the wording FDA, it is nothing but the US FDA. So when FDA is giving the lot of deficiencies with respect to the product testing, FDA is withdrawing the samples from the market, and the samples are tested, and based on that also the deficiencies are given. FDA will get ask some information from the manufacturers, and based on that information also some deficiencies will be there. So what we are going to discuss here, the discussion will be with respect to the inspectional deficiencies identified during the finished drug manufacturing sites inspections. Okay, then we will have a introduction about the what are the 5 deficiencies that we will discuss. Then this all the 5 deficiencies we will discuss in detail. with respect to what type of deficiency and what exact wording in the observations or 483, that we will discuss. After that, many people will say that why it is only 2022 and 2020 to 2022, because 2023 also it is completed, right, and we are running in the 2024. So that is the reason I take some most common citations by FDA in the year 2023 also, and then followed by there will be some summary and then a question and answer and vote of thanks. So this is the today's overall agenda for the today's training discussion. So let us move ahead. A quick move with respect to the my CV. So my name is Hitendra Kumar Shah. Already I shared my name, and I am having more than 23 years of experience, and this is my brief CV. You can go through this CV. I handled independently. I was involved in a different type of regulatory audits like US FDA, UGMP, and all. And now also I am supporting so many companies to, support in the different type of audit preparations and all. I have audited, means I am in the third party auditing role also. I am auditing so many third party audits, and till date I have audited more than 500 vendors or suppliers, and more than 5,000 or maybe more than that people I trained. So I am providing the training sessions to so many the companies, in-house trainer also. These are some major companies where I work. I started my career with Sun Pharma, then I work with Blue Cross Laboratories, I work with Alembic Pharma. Most of you may be aware about the name of this company. I work in a Zydus Cadila, I work in a US Vitamins in a Daman plant. Then I was in some multinationals also, like I work in AstraZeneca, Sanofi, and I work in a Mylan. And now, since last 5.5 years, I am an independent CGMP compliance consultant, trainer, and auditor from NADH plus GXP compliance services. Before moving and discussing on the topic, just a disclaimer, because what happened, I am collecting all the information from different guidelines or different literatures, books, or internet space and media and all. So this is not with respect to some content. Whatever I am presenting maybe prepared by some other companies or FDA also, but I am considering this content to make all people aware. So I am just using this to as a learning platform to make people aware, because what happened, most of the companies, they prepare a paper or article, and I don't know how many people read and all, but when it is a visual as well as audio display, so many people go through that. So this is only I am preparing for the learning purpose. People, if they want to implement it, so my request is they need to refer the current guideline, and you can go through the disclaimer before going this further discussion. And let us start our today's discussion on the topic of the FDA citations, specifically the top 5 FDA citations. Now let us start our today's actual discussion on this topic. So what is important, most of the points you may not be aware, so I am just sharing the information to all of you, that if you consider the 2021 to 22, there is a so many inspection is increased like anything, because that in 2020 or 21, there was a 20 in 20s there was a COVID situation and all, so many inspections were not there, and after completion of the COVID there were a lot of inspections. So FDA issued 72 CGMP related warning letters to the pharmaceutical manufacturing sites in year 2022. Please understand it. 72 warning letters. Now whatever I am telling, no, this is overall. Okay, FDA has issued 72. So it in all different countries. Okay, in US also, in India, in China, in other countries, Asia, all America, Asian countries and all. So all different countries, so constitute total 72 warning letters. Most of the sites that received warning letters were finished drug formulation manufacturers. So when we consider that the the manufacturing facilities, means 68% of the observations were from the finished drug manufacturing sites. And what are these? These are the non-sterile and non-application products, even though these sites represented only 30% of year 2020 inspection. So when 2022 the sites were identified for inspection, out of the identified site only 30% sites were inspected, and in that also the 68% of the warning letters were given to this type of sites. So this is to make you aware about the severity of the compliance approach toward the finished drug formulation companies. These figures are not given by me, these are actually given by the FDA site, so I took it from the FDA. Okay, the most cited FDA 2022 CGMP issues by FDA across all warning letters were related to quality control unit, production record review or investigations, written procedures deviations, equipment cleaning, maintenance, testing, release. Related to this topic, most of the observations are there. Hope everyone is with me, and I am not so fast, I am just slowly I am discussing with all of you. So let us discuss now, especially on our today's topic and with the chart, that how many observations are there in the you can say the by the FDA in the 483s. So you can see this chart now. So this chart is very clear. Okay, this chart is very clear. You can see, chart, there are different colors are there, and you will come to know that the different systems like packaging and labeling system, production system, quality system, laboratory system, facility equipment system, material system, and currently the data integrity, correct? So these all are covered, and you will come to know that if the slides are visible to all of you, clearly visible, you can see the data integrity related observations are 7%, materials are 8%, while maximum are from the production and quality system and laboratory. You can see the production related observations are 32. Please understand this. Quality system related 23 and laboratory related 20. So you can see here 3 and 2 5, 55 and 65, 75% of the total findings are, you can see here, total findings are from the laboratory, production and quality system. This is what the point I just want to emphasize to all of you. Hope you are clear with this point, right? So when we will discuss this point, there are so many observations. You can see here this slide. I think there will be some slide delay in this presenting this slide. Okay, so now you can see here there will be delay when I am displaying the slide. You can see here what is plotted. This is again given by the I took it from the I took it this from Redica Systems. Yeah, so Redica Systems prepared this all analysis, so I took it from them. So what is presented here, there are the same what I was telling you, there are the same systems, and under the systems there are subsystems, like facilities and equipment, there are 33 subsystems. Under laboratory there are 31 subsystems. Data integrity, there are 11 subsystems or subclasses. So when you identify these, you will come to know that there are so many different requirements. But if you come to know the top 5, 1 2 3 4 5, these 5 identified with the red, these are what the top 5 findings, and that findings we are going to discuss today. So what are these top 5 findings? So basically these top 5 findings are related to the quality system, laboratory, production, data integrity, and under laboratory there are two: stability and OSOT. So please understand this. So under quality system specifically it is a complaint related, complaint management. Laboratory there are two, like stability related and OSOT related. Hope you are aware about the OS and OT, so I am considering this as a high level discussion and all, so I am not much discussing in detail. If you have the questions, you please put in the chat box. Production related is related to the process validation specifically, where the focus with respect to the inadequate process validation or missing things in the validation. And the next is a data integrity, where the problem with respect to the observations or the non-conformity are related to the original data. So these are basically the top 5 deficiencies. And now what we will do, we will discuss one by one all these deficiencies in detail. So first deficiency is a quality system related deficiency, and specifically this deficiency is complaint management related. So what are the deficiencies which are complaint management related? So basically when we are discussing about this deficiency complaint management related, so what exactly the deficiency is, that is what is displayed here. So basically when we discuss about the complaint management related deficiencies, basically there are two categories. One is with respect to the SOP related, as SOP is inadequate with respect to the complaint management, and second is with respect to the nature of investigations and all. So let us discuss about the first nature of investigations. So adverse event investigations, general complaint investigations, for example not completed in a timely manner or lacking diligent follow-up with the complainant, these are the these related complaints observations were there. And SOP inadequate or SOP related observations, which includes completion deadline, ensuring a report of the complaint investigation is generated, lack of instructing employees to seek follow-up information, and what to do when a written sample confirms the problem specified in the complaint. So this way this type of observations are there. So the point here is, when of course most of the companies they have this compliance to these SOPs and all, but one point I want to emphasize here, that in most of the complaint SOPs I found this point is missing, where if as a complaint investigation, the sample of a written sample is tested and we confirm that whether it is a genuine or non-genuine and all, but there is no action plan if the written sample evaluation or checking confirms that whatever the problem is specified in the complaint is a genuine, then what should be the action plan? So the SOP mostly lack into this action plan, and the company got the citations or 483 observations. So these two related observations are there. Now we will discuss about the same complaint related observations, but what were the actual wordings in the 483? You got my point. So what were the actual wordings in a 483? So that words we will discuss about the observations. Again I am telling you, if you have any questions, please put in the chat box. One more request I want to give to all, that if you if you need a copy of the presentation, please put in the chat box that you need a copy of the presentation, because this training will be recorded in the YouTube, and after some time, maybe after 1 month, 2 months, if you ask from me about the training presentation, I may not able to give you the training presentation. So if you are interested in a training presentation, please put in the chat box. I will share the training presentation at the end of this training session. Okay. So what are the actual observation or wordings were there? So these are there, what I put here. Adverse events are not reported to the quality control unit and are not followed up or investigated. See, the adverse events, normally most of the company, what they do, they just forward to the medical team and they just make a reply. but this is not the case. There may be possibility that that suppose there is adverse events are there, maybe there may be some uh, uh, the product degradation may be there, and due to some impurity generation the patient may be having some adverse events or no effect due to the drug, or in some cases there may be no effect complaints. So this also need to be investigated first in the manufacturing site, where the whether the drug is really getting released, dissolution is okay or not, whether the potency or assay is correct or not. That way we need to evaluate, and then only with this data we need to forward it to the physician. So if this type of observations are there, your firm's complaint investigations are inadequate. Yes, most of the company they have a standard format. They just fill the format, and if it is a similar type of complaint, it is just they just do the copy and paste and they prepare the investigation report. And in that case, this type of observations are likely to get that your firm's complaint investigations are inadequate, not always completed in a timely manner. When all the complaints are evaluated, reviewed by the inspector, and it is come to know that if the complaint should be closed within specified time as per the SOP, but most of the complaints are not closed, or no timelines are followed or respected, then this type of observations the companies will get. Complaints do not include documentation of attempts to obtain more follow-up information. What happened? Most of the company they have the procedure that when the final investigation report is shared, then the company or the manufacturing site will wait for 30 days to get the response from the complainant. If there is no any feedback from the complainant, the straight away the complaints are closed. But this is not the correct way. So the point here is, when the final investigation report is sent, first of all we need to get the acknowledgement from the complainant that whether the investigation is received by the complainant or not. And then second thing, we should put some attempt, maybe once in a 15 days or 20 days, that whether they have any questions on these investigations, whether they need any additional further information. So that follow up is missing in most of the complaint procedures, and they also get this type of observations. My dear friend, these are the actual observations received by many companies. So please understand this, and you have to evaluate in your procedures also when we are discussing this. With respect to SOP, again there are some observations like does not specify deadlines for completion. SOP may not have the deadlines, like first of all the SOP should have the deadline for acknowledging the complaint, when the complaint should be acknowledged. Then second should be the investigation deadline, that critical complaints when it should be investigated, major complaints within how many days they should be investigated, minor complaints within how many days it should be investigated. There should be deadlines. Then once investigation is done, investigation report should be sent. Then what is the deadline or closing period for the complaint? That all deadlines should be specified in the complaint investigation procedure. But if it is not there, then you will get this type of observation, and these are the actual observations, wordings taken from the 483 observations. SOP does not specify that a formal investigation report must be generated. So what happened that many companies they have the template, and when see the investigation is not the like a testing, that you have to add this material, then add this solvent, then add to this reagent, and then you mix it. So it is a standard protocol when you are thinking about the testing. But when you are dealing with the investigations, then the investigation strategies will be different. You need to follow the different strategies with respect to it depends on different complaint to complaint. So the point here is, when your SOP is there should be requirement that a formal investigation report should be generated. SOP does not instruct employees to attempt to obtain follow-up information when initial reports are incomplete. So if you need to do some further investigations, you don't have the sufficient data from the complainant, you should follow up with the complainant to get the data, and you should put some attempts. Okay, and that also should be part of the investigation report, that this many attempts you put to get the further information. But whether if you got the after the attempting this lot of follow-ups, if you got the data, then you further investigate the complaint. If you still not get the feedback from the complainant, then you can close the complaint. So this way also the companies got the observation. Please remember this point. SOP does not instruct employees what to do in the event that a written sample confirms the defect specified in a received complaint. So this also I told you that most of the SOP lacks this procedure, that if your complaint, if your written sample itself, when it is evaluated or tested and come to know that the defect reported in the complaint is also in the written sample, that means the complaint is genuine. So what action should be taken? That information is lacking in most of the complaint SOPs. So you got the point about the first observations with respect to the complaint. Now the second observation with respect to the laboratory, and it is related to the stability studies. So again there, when we discuss about the stability related observations, there are two different categories of the observations. So observations related to expiration date, including data used to determine the expiration date, incorrect dating, or not using stability testing data to determine expiration date. These observations related to the stability. And second type of observations includes what? Stability testing, number of batches used, justification of the beyond use date, and even the lack of stability study program. These type of observations are identified by the FDA. So now let us discuss about actual observations or actual wordings, actual terminologies or actual words available in the 483. So what actually 483 are explaining about this, that we will discuss on stability studies. So actual observation means drug products do not bear an expiration date determined by appropriate stability data. So this type of observations are mentioned in the 483. So these statements are taken from the 483. Okay, actual 483. So drug products do not bear an expiration date determined by appropriate stability data. The drug products labeled with so and so an expiration date that is incorrect. So there is an incorrect expiration date. That is also the observations. Results of stability testing are not used in determining the expiration dates. So expiration dates are when assigned, they should be assigned based on the stability testing, but the results of stability testing are not used in determining the expiration dates, and this type of observation they got it. Further about the stability studies, the observations related to the stability studies are: written stability testing program is not followed, adequate number of batches of each drug product are not tested. Now here please understand this adequate number of batches. Why I am discussing this point here? Because even now also the many companies, they lack the procedure to track the batches. They lack the procedure to track the annual batches. So which product is charged on annual stability study? So most of the products, the companies fail to put the batches on long-term stability study on annual basis. Even it is observed that if there are some changes in the packaging materials and all primary packaging materials and all, some companies fail to charge this type of these batches for stability study. So if this is type of the things are there, the companies got the observation related to the adequate number of batches of each drug product are not tested. No documentation to justify the beyond use date. There may not be the suitable stability data, and without that the beyond use date is assigned, and without any documentation. There is no written testing program designed to assess the stability characteristics of the drug product. So there is no written testing program or protocol followed to assess the stability characteristics of the drug products. So the observations related to the stability studies. Hope you are with me and understanding this point in a very clear way. The third point with respect to the observation is in the production related observations, and specifically the production related observations are with respect to the process validation. Before moving this point, process validation, I just want to again request all people, if you are interested in the training presentation, put the comment in the chat box so that I will share the link to download the training presentation. After completion of the this session, if you ask me, I may not able to share the training presentation. Okay, so at the end of the training session I will share you the link, but the point is, if you need, then only I will share the link to download the training presentation. Okay, so we were discussing about the production related observation, and what type of production related observations. The most frequent finding in the production system is process validation inadequate or missing. And my dear friend, this is again I think repeat in many companies in 2024 also. Take my words. The reason is missing, because what happened, we all know that the process validation is in a three stage: stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. Stage 1 is a process design, stage 2 is a process qualification, and stage 3 is a continued process verification. But when we review or check the process validation protocol and report, in the protocol and report only it is focused on the stage 2, like process qualification. Most of the validations they miss or they lack in the process design stage and also the continued process verification approach. And due to that, I feel that in 2024 again the most pharma companies should be ready for this observation that the process validation is inadequate or missing. Okay, one common observation is around IQ, OQ, PQ not being performed. In other cases, the studies were done but not reviewed and approved prior to batch release. Yeah, this is also the very critical sort of observation. So the point here is the validation batches are released into the market. So when they are released into the market, before release, all the studies whatever are performed, they should be reviewed and approved before the product release. So whatever you are performing the validations testing and all should be properly reviewed. Protocol report should be properly prepared, reviewed and approved, and then only the product should be released. But due to the urgency is created, I will use the word created urgency in the most of the companies, the batches are released without compilation and finalization of the report, process validation report, and this type of practices can lead to this observation where it will be specified that the validation studies were done but not reviewed and approved prior to the product release specifically, and then the product details, batch numbers will be specified in the 483 observations. Hope it is clear, right? I am trying to make you in a simple language and all, right? So what is the exact wording in the observations? Let us discuss on the exact wording in the observations. There are observations for validation studies that were not appropriately designed. That means what? Process validation study is not appropriately designed, where test samples were analyzed using methods but that had not themselves been validated. This is practice in most of the companies, my dear friend. Most of the companies. What happened when the new product launch will be there? So more focus will be given only on the process development, means manufacturing product development, and that time the method may not be validated, testing method may not be validated. So the point is, when the process is developed and process validation is done and the samples are tested by the quality control laboratories, whether that samples are tested, whether that method used for testing of the validation sample is the validated method or not. If the method is still not validated, you will get this observation. And it is, they use the wording, so I also use the same wording, that in one of the case some falsified validation protocols and reports were identified by the auditor. So this observation is mentioned here. The next observation with respect to the process validations is, your firm has not completed a protocol based equipment qualification studies like IQ, OQ, PQ for any equipment used in manufacturing. This is again the problem to most of the companies, where the companies are using the old equipments, or they are using the second equipment from some other companies. So what happened, if you are purchasing the new equipment, then at least you will get some documentation with respect to IQ, OQ and PQ. IQ and OQ from the manufacturers, and PQ you can do it at your end. But the problem is, most of the companies, they don't have the IQ, OQ, PQ of the equipment, as the equipments are very old. So if equipments are not qualified, how you can say that the manufacturing process followed to manufacture specific product in that unqualified equipment is validated? Not possible. And they will get this type of observation. Process validation protocols and batch testing were not reviewed and approved prior to release and commercial distribution. This is again the very important point, that before release, protocol, report, batch testing results should be reviewed properly and approved before the release of the particular batch. Now, how the company will come to know, how the regulators will come to know about whether the process validation protocol is approved prior to the release of the batch or not. So when the word copies are there in the companies for process validations and all, so from properties of the, when in the word copy of the process validation protocol, when you go to the properties, you will come to know that when this protocol, file for the protocol of a process validation is prepared, and if that preparation date is after the if that created date is after the report approval date or release date, then definitely it indicates that process validation protocol is prepared after the batch release and sign off on the back date. So please understand these scenarios related to the process validation. And hope I am not so fast. I am simple. I am. If you feel that I am fast, please put your comment. I will speak slowly. Or in the YouTube, you have the option. You can reduce the speed. Okay. The other point with respect to the process validation is with respect to identifying the variability. Most of the process validation efforts will not be focused to identify the variabilities, and the FDA guideline on process validation expects the same. So the next actual observation is, when process validation does not always include inclusion and establishment of all process parameter that should be controlled for reproducible operations. So when you want reproducible operation, you need to add and control some operation parameters. Means what? You need to reduce the variability. But if you don't focus on this, you are likely to get this observation. and these are actually observations received by many companies. Please understand this point. These are not the potential observations. These observations are already given to the many companies. Your QC unit conducted testing of a process validation test sample using a non-validated and non-verified test methods. So most of the people will say that our test methods are a pharmacopoeial test method. So why we need to do validation? So my dear friend, if it is a pharmacopoeial test method, you need to perform the method verification. So either method, if it is in-house method, you have to do method validation. If the method is not validated, testing method is not validated because it is a pharmacopoeial method, it is a monograph method, then you need to perform the method verification. And if you don't follow this, then you are likely to get this observation. The process validation protocol and validation reports and the batches were falsified. So this observation may also there if there is a falsification of the records. So up to here you are clear with respect to the third observations where we discuss about the process validation related observation in the production system. The next observation is with respect to the data integrity, and specifically it is related to the original data. Okay, so what is this observation with respect to the data integrity and original data? The source data that documents manufacturing steps and supports decisions made on the shop floor. So people are still not clear about the what is meant by original data or source data. So the people need to be clear with respect to the original data and source data. Okay. Issues observed include a lack of documentation, handwritten, uncontrolled raw data, data that is not kept or available on the inspection, or a lack of documentation of important activities. These are all the part of the original data. So what are the exact observations related to the original data in the data integrity related observations we discuss now? So these are the actual observations. Okay. So what are these actual observations? No documentation showing that the location of a temperature probe and humidity probe were placed in the worst case areas. What does it mean? It means that you need to have some documentation, right, to identify the worst case area and all, right, and then based on that you need to put the probes for temperature and humidity. So there is no any documentation. So how the observation will be given? No documentation showing that the location of a temperature probe and humidity probe were placed in the worst case areas, specifically in the equipment ID so and so, and then the information will be given in detail. This type of 483 observations will be given on the 483 form. Raw data written on a loose leaf piece of a paper was found in analyst notebook in the QC laboratory. Most of the companies, they give the diaries. I don't know why they need to give diaries, and in the diaries people write everything. Even all the wrong decisions, maybe, I don't know, but most of the wrong decisions or incorrect decisions, they are also written in the diaries. Whatever the wrong activities are performed, wrong means not in line with the GMP, they are also writing in the same diary or bound book. Why it is required to give a bound books to all the people working in the company? Not required. So due to this, this type of observations will be there, that are loose, or sometimes what happened, if there is a culture problem or the lack of awareness or training, then this type of observation will be there. Raw data for the assay were not recorded directly into the notebook. So the original data should be recorded in the notebook, directly on the notebook. If you are writing on the small sheet and then you are writing on the notebook, it is not allowed. Hope you are all aware about the data integrity requirements, right? You are aware about the data integrity requirements, but I am just sharing the observations. Notably, these raw data were not retained. This is also very important thing. The raw data were not retained. Now what happened? Uh, if you refer the 21 CFR part 11, so that guideline you can download directly from the PDF version from the internet. There is no any specific requirement about the data things and all. Only they mention that if you want you can remove the data. But when you refer the ECFR, electronic CFR version, electronic code for federal regulation, where it is updated every monthly basis, there you come to know that there is no any specific requirement with respect to the removal of the data from the server. So if you remove the raw data from the server, then you are likely to get this type of observations, because you should not remove the raw data. The raw data should be retained up to the that period which is applicable for that particular product. You got my point? Original data is not retained and not available during inspection. There is no documentation, the filter is replaced. So if the filters are replaced as a part of a changeover or whatever, no documentation for that, and it indicates that the data is missing. So original data is not available. So this type of the observations are with respect to the original data. Right now, hope you are everyone is with me. If you need a training presentation, please put your comment. I will share the training presentation at the end of the session. The next observation is with respect to the laboratory, and it is related to the OSOT. So what type of this observation? Not surprisingly, issues with invalidation of OS results are prevalent. Always remember that inspectors will be focusing on invalid OS instead of a valid OS, because in case of invalid OS, the earlier the batch was failing, whatever is the reason, and you investigated and you proved that the batch is safe, there was some error, and based on that you release the batch in the market. So that is the reason when you are releasing the batch based on some invalidation OS or invalidated OS, then that becomes a very important, including justification of a few different sorts, failing to conduct or not consistently conducting investigations, and the role of analyst, training and use of analytical data. So you don't follow the investigations, you don't you prepare the mind. In short, when you think about the OS, you prepare the mind to release the batch, and based on that you put your efforts. So this type of observations are there with respect to the OS and OT. So what are the exact observations? So actual observations are here. The firm invalidated the OS without adequate justification. So if there is no adequate justification, you cannot release the batch. Invalidated OS investigations attributed to analyst errors. This is also a classic example. So what happened? When we discuss about the OS, so most of the time what happened? This error is related to the analyst, and then the repeat testing is done by the second analyst. It is passing and batch is released. But my dear friend, the question what FDA will ask is, when this analyst is making the error, and if it is a failing, you do the investigation. There may be possibility that the product may be failing, but due to analyst error, the product may pass in past, and you might have released the batch. So when you identify this as analyst error, that analyst error should be investigated, because that analyst may be performing a testing since long, and so many batches might have released by that particular analyst. You got my point? Invalidated OS test result without any scientific justification. Yes, without scientific justification, you cannot invalidate the OS test result. Firm failed to substantiate the invalidation of OS results. These are all the virtual available in the observations by FDA. The other observations is the quality unit failed to perform a documented OS investigation following the initial OS. So I put the small picture, that is the guideline page about the investigating the out of specification test result for pharmaceutical production guidance for industry. This is the guideline given by FDA. So you need to follow this guideline and you need to perform the investigation. So if you don't perform the documented OS investigation, then you are likely to get this observation. OS investigations are not consistently conducted on OS results. Personnel conducting the investigations are not always adequately assessing the analytical data to eliminate all possible sources of OS results. See what happened when the persons are investigating the OS, they cannot directly jump into the conclusion that this is analytical error or analyst error. Sorry. They should evaluate all the different aspects: testing method, sample strategy, sample storage, recording, all the things they have to evaluate. And then when they come to know that there is no any error other than this analyst, then only you can say that it is a analyst error. So if you don't follow this, then again you are likely to get these observations. So these are what I was telling with all of you about the observations cited in 2022 up to 2022, and now these are some observations which are in 2023. So the basic point what I want to tell you here is these observations now I am sharing about the 2023, but not whole year. It is only up to 30th of September. So means first 3 quarters. So that means the first 9 months of a year 2023 are considered in this slide, because it was not evaluated by the FDA during that period, and so I could not take it. So if you see here, there are the observations, again the top 5 observations, and most of the observations you can see 48 observations related to the responsibilities of a quality control unit. So that need to be followed, responsibilities of quality control unit. So you refer this CFR 211.22 subpart and you will come to know there are 48 number of observations in year 2023. There are 47 observations related to the control and testing of components, container and closure. You can refer the 21 CFR part 211.84. Written procedures are not followed. Under the CFR part 211.100, there are 30 observations. Production record review. Under this production record review, there are 16 observations. So you need to refer the CFR part 211.192 and you have to comply this part. And equipment cleaning and maintenance. There are 9 observations related to the equipment cleaning and maintenance. So maximum observations, if you ask me, these are related to the quality unit and the control on testing and component. That means what? If you ask me about the departments, quality control and quality assurance and production, these 3 again the major departments where the all observations are there. See, 48 plus 47 plus 30 plus 16, all are, and again 9, all are related to the quality control, quality assurance and production related observations. These are the year 2023 data. And the next is with respect to the slide shared by the FDA. So I am just sharing with you. So basically, this slide you can see here. It is with respect to the what is the basis of a warning letter in 2023, that is displayed here. and you can see here that most of the observations are identified based on the inspection. 22% are identified based on the first inspection of the facility, and 45% observations are given based on the re-inspection. So you can see here 67% of total observations are given in the year 2023 based on the inspection of the facilities. Now, I just want to share a summary that why this type of observations and how you can control this. And I identified some points. Role of senior management. So the senior management role plays very important role. So of course they are responsible for the finished products for dispatch and target deliveries and all. But at the same time, the whether senior management is committed to the quality, actually not on paper, that is plays a very important role. Interdepartment involvement is a must when you are discussing about the market complaint, deviations, change controls. You know, the interdepartment role plays very important role. So if interdepartment involvement is there, then only you will able to comply the requirements. Decision making process. In case of a failure or investigations, the decision making process plays a very important role. If your decision making is towards considering that you need to release the batch, if you target to take a decision to release the batch, then your decision making is not a suitable way. During the year 2023, total 67% warning letters through the inspectional, indicating less focus on subject matter experts. So my suggestion is you need to develop the subject matter experts for all the different topics in your company, and they need to evaluate whether really they are subject matter experts or not. They need to be investigated, they need to be interrogated, interviewed should be done on periodically or for the subject matter experts. Less focus on employee engagement and training. Yeah, this is again, I feel that most of the companies they lack this point, that there is a less focus on employee engagement and training. Review process. Many companies they have the reviewers and all, but the companies lack the approach of a first time right approach. So they need to focus on first time right approach, and overall missing the organization culture towards GMP. This is what I feel about the observations to avoid in future and in your organization. And before moving ahead, I would like to give a special thanks for Redicast Systems, because I took this some content from Redicast Systems report. The link is given, you can access this. And also the report on the state of pharmaceutical quality by FDA, again this link is given, so you can refer this link to get more information from Redicast Systems as well as the FDA site. Okay, thank you so much all of you, thank you so much. And these are my contact details. I kindly request you to please share this link to all your colleagues so that they can also get a benefit from this link. And also I request all people to please subscribe this YouTube channel, because if you subscribe, then you will get automatic notification about the next training sessions, because every week on Saturday I am conducting the free sessions at 8 p.m. as per Indian Standard Time. Okay, so there are some questions I will just take quickly. How many follow-up you suggest? Mr. Ujjwal Ghosh is asking how many follow-up. See, when we are discussing about the complaints and all, minimum you should attempt 3 times to get the maximum information from the complainant. So minimum 3 follow-ups you should do. This is a normal standard industry practice. There is no guideline requirement, but this is the industry practice. Okay. Tirupati Babu is asking, hello sir, can you please make a session on manufacturing investigation and mainly on 6M method? Okay, Tirupati Babu Kilari, I will take that. Okay. Mr. Satish Kumar is asking, please provide the presentation just for information. Okay, just a minute, I will share the link to download the training presentation. But this link will be expired in a immediate basis. So I suggest to download the training presentation immediately. So you can go through this link and you can download the training presentation immediately. Okay, thank you so much. I think there are no any questions, and it is now 9 o'clock also. So thank you so much, and ensure all time compliance, and please subscribe the YouTube channel so that you will get notifications on all our videos. Thank you so much. And if you are interested in any other topic, please you can share me in the comment section. I will take that training topics maybe in the coming sessions. Thank you so much. And ensure all time compliance. Again, I am requesting all people ensure all time compliance. Thank you so much. And now I am ending the training session.